The Grand Council chamber existed in 3 dimensions technically, but felt like it occupied more. The way space bent around the massive station, designed to host 200 species simultaneously, without anyone accidentally breathing poison or standing in incompatible gravity. Ambassador Ethan Vera stood in the human delegation section, which ranked somewhere between the newly contacted Frim species and a coalition of asteroid miners who declared independence last decade. Humanity's galactic status. Present but not particularly important. The Zenith Accord negotiations had dragged on for 6 months, every session revealing new layers of ancient grudges that made Earth's worst diplomatic conflicts look like playground disagreements. Today's argument involved territorial borders established during wars that happened before humans discovered fire. Ethan had stopped trying to track every detail, instead focusing on his assignment. Observe, take notes, don't accidentally start an interstellar incident. Then Queen Sarithix stood up, and every species stopped talking immediately. The Kale Dominion didn't just command respect, they commanded silence through sheer historical weight. 30 systems, military might that had conquered a dozen species before adopting their current honor code, and a queen whose tactical brilliance was taught in strategy academies across the galaxy. She descended from the Kale platform with steps that echoed like pronouncements. Her elongated ears, decorated with platinum threads marking royal status, caught the chamber's multispectrum lighting. She walked past elder species delegates, past the Virin mediators who'd refereed conflicts for 12 millennia, straight toward the human section. Ethan's brain performed the political equivalent of error checking. Then she pointed directly at him. "That one belongs to me." Her voice carried across the chamber with perfect clarity, translated instantly into 200 languages by systems that had never failed before, and seemed determined to maintain that record now. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted in languages Ethan's translator chip rendered as variations of what just happened, and this violates 17 different protocols. His fellow ambassadors stared at him like he'd personally insulted the galaxy. Queen Sarithix stood perfectly still, her gaze locked on Ethan with intensity that felt like being scanned by targeting systems. The Virin senior mediator, a being whose species measured age in millennia rather than years, called for order with a harmonic tone that cut through chaos like a blade. "Explain this claim, Queen Sarithix." She spoke with formal cadence that made every word feel legally binding. "By the ancient rights of the Kale, I claim this human as my bonded mate. The claim is witnessed by this council and sealed by my word." The chamber exploded again. Ethan's diplomatic training covered first contact protocols, trade negotiations, and how to politely decline food that would kill you. It did not cover what to do when an alien warrior queen claims you as her mate in front of the entire galactic community. Bonded mates in Kale culture weren't simple marriages. They were civilization-level alliances that united bloodlines and territories and political power structures. A queen claiming a mate was essentially proposing to merge her dominion with whatever the mate represented. But humanity represented 3 star systems and a space program that still occasionally lost satellites. Ambassador Chen, the human delegation leader, looked like she was calculating whether this counted as a diplomatic victory or catastrophe. Ethan found his voice through sheer force of confusion. "Your Majesty, with respect, I think there's been a misunderstanding." Sarithix's expression didn't shift. "There is no misunderstanding, Ambassador Vera. I have chosen. The question is whether you accept." 200 species waited for his answer, and Ethan realized whatever he said next would echo across the galaxy for generations. Emergency recess gave Ethan 30 minutes to process a marriage proposal that doubled as geopolitical revolution. Chen pulled him into a side chamber along with the other human delegates, and her expression cycled through emotions faster than Ethan could track. "If you refuse, we insult the Kale Dominion and probably destroy humanity's galactic standing." If you accept without understanding why, we could be walking into subjugation disguised as partnership. What do we actually know about her motivations? Nothing that explains this, admitted Ambassador Torres, already pulling up files on his datapad. Kale Queens choose mates based on strategic value. No offense, Ethan, but humanity doesn't offer anything the Kale need. Before Ethan could respond, the door opened and Sarithix entered alone, having dismissed the armored advisors who normally shadowed her. She spoke directly to Ethan, formal tone softening into something more personal. You wonder why. 3 months ago, during preliminary negotiations, you proposed the shared prosperity doctrine. Resource distribution, prioritizing species survival over territorial control. Every elder species dismissed it as naive human idealism. I did not. I saw someone willing to imagine cooperation where others see only competition. She stepped closer, and Ethan realized her intensity wasn't intimidation but urgency. An ancient threat stirs at the galaxy's edge. The same force that nearly destroyed everything 10,000 years ago. This council argues over borders while real danger approaches. My claim is not about possession, Ambassador. It is about building the alliance we need to survive. Kale's strength combined with human innovation, backed by the legitimacy this council provides. Together, we could unite species that would never otherwise cooperate. Understanding hit Ethan like a physical force. You're using cultural tradition to force a military alliance. I am using the only tool this council will respect, she corrected. Ethan returned to the council chamber carrying a decision that felt simultaneously insane and inevitable. When Sarithix formally repeated her claim, he stepped forward and spoke words that would enter galactic historical records within hours. I accept, but with conditions. This union will be true partnership, not Kale dominance over humanity, not human dependence on Kale protection, but genuine collaboration. We share decision-making, we respect each other's sovereignty, and we build something new together. Sarithix's expression shifted into something almost like a smile. Agreed. Witnessed by this council. The Viren mediator spoke with something approaching wonder. In 10,000 years of council proceedings, I have never witnessed anything like this. A warrior queen and a diplomat from a species barely out of its home system, forming a bond that bypasses centuries of traditional alliance building. Either this is profound wisdom or spectacular foolishness. Perhaps both. The formal bonding ceremony happened 2 weeks later, blending traditions in ways that required both cultures to adapt and compromise. Ethan learned Kale bonding involved shared combat training, literal trials building trust through coordinated survival challenges. Sarithix learned human partnerships involved emotional vulnerability her culture typically reserved for private moments. They discovered unexpected synchronicities. Both valued strategy over brute force. Both believed leadership meant service rather than domination. Both carried the weight of representing entire civilizations on their shoulders and understood that burden intimately. Standing together before the council for the final ceremony, Sarithix whispered words only Ethan heard. I chose you because you proposed peace when everyone expected war. That is not weakness. That is the strength we will need for what comes. Ethan whispered back. I accepted because you saw possibility where others saw only problems. That's not naivety. That's exactly the partnership we need.